Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing.
Hey, what is up, Progressive Overload? Welcome back to the studio. Glad to be here with the boys. Man, it has been too long, guys.
I know, we missed you.
Dude, and here lately, it's not even just been like not being able to record with you guys, but I just haven't seen you guys in a little bit.
I know, you've been hiding.
It's been, our schedules just have misaligned.
Yeah, no, we've missed you.
I've even messaged Joe and was like, hey, I came by and you're not here.
Well, that was because it was a Friday afternoon. I told you should know better than to find me at work on a Friday afternoon.
I'm aware, but hey, I had a minute. It was like the one chance I had, and I had to take it. You know, in the off chance that you were there late.
I haven't worked a Friday afternoon in like 8 years.
Joe only works 20 hours a week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
My supervisors, if you're listening to me, this is not true. But I do love my job, and...
Don't fire me.
Don't fire me.
Joe only works 20 hours a week, but he sits there 40.
There we go. All right. Anyways... as we continue the roast of Joe, that's a theme of the week.
It's been definitely that.
Y'all been just busting me all week.
It's been so fun.
Yeah, so much fun.
Dude, we should just, revolving door. There's an episode idea. Have roast episodes for each other.
Yeah, that's real Christian.
That's good Christian fun.
All right, question from the coffee can. If you had to eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be? With health not being a consideration.
Okay.
Or you can, whatever. Tyson, you're probably going to say, grilled chicken salad is like my favorite.
I do enjoy healthy food.
I know,
but
if
I had, you don't want to get tired of what you're eating.
I know, it's a tough question because like my go-to is like if I'm going to not care about health, I would love to eat pizza every single day for the rest of my life, but it would get old really quickly.
But that's the thing. Like if you pick something that has variety within it,
right,
that you can mix up.
Yeah. Like pizza.
Yeah, different toppings.
Today I'm going to have chicken bacon ranch pizza.
Yeah, I guess to some extent there is that.
Yeah.
My gut reaction is like tacos, man.
Tacos, really?
Because I feel like you can go with like your classic ground beef. You can go with something a little healthier, like I've been doing, ground turkey.
Right.
You can hit like some street tacos.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm putting less thought into it. I love chicken fried steak, and I think that would be my...
That's one of my go-tos also.
Yeah.
My go-to, I think.
That's a good shout. I don't know that gets old.
I don't think... I've never been tired of chicken fried steak.
I've never been tired, or I've never been in a point where I wanted to turn it down if it was an option.
Yeah, that's true. But, of course, it's never been breakfast, lunch, and dinner for...
Right, exactly.
for weeks.
Chicken fried steak and eggs. Baby.
Okay, you're right there, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, throw the eggs on the side for breakfast.
Yep.
Yeah. I know. There you go.
Which, if you can just keep mixing it up, I can eat chicken fried steak and then just something else. And it's considered a separate
You're still
meal.
hitting the rules?
Yeah.
That's true. You get your salad at lunch with it.
And I'm a fat kid at heart, man. I can eat.
Yeah.
I love
your baked potato with dinner.
You get your eggs for breakfast with it. You get your salad at lunch with it. Yeah. And you get your good old-fashioned mashed potatoes and gravy for dinner.
Okay. There we are. Welcome back to the Health and Fitness Podcast.
Where our opinions help you improve your fitness.
And now you're all craving chicken fried steak.
And now we're all hungry.
All those people that are not from our area, like from the north, they probably don't even know what chicken fried steak is, do they?
Probably not.
I don't know. I've got a few friends that have like exclusively grown up in the north, never even visited the south. I'll ask them next time I talk to them and just see if they even know what that is.
Yeah. I know for sure the Slovenians don't know what it is.
Yeah. Shout out to the Slovenians.
Dude, the other day, y'all know I pay attention to our analytics. Y'all don't really. We had like 150 listens or downloads in Slovenia in one day.
Dude, reach out, guys.
I know.
I want to visit.
I know. And we'll have to translate somehow, but I don't understand it. It's crazy. Anyways.
We don't understand it, but apparently you understand us.
Apparently. All right, this intro has gone way out of bounds. Here we go. Today we are going to be talking about famous last words. So I got this idea from a reel that I made the other day. I saw this really cool exercise, and I told myself, oh, I'm going to try that exercise I found on Instagram, and I titled that video Famous Last Words. I'm going to try that exercise I found on internet. And so what had happened is it was a major fail, and it turned into a funny little blooper video.
Busted his butt.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
In front of
a client.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
Yes, it was good.
I could hear the voice in the video. I couldn't tell who it was.
No, you weren't about
that
to
was Miss Jean.
You weren't about to instruct her to
No.
do the exercise.
No. So I was in my middle of my own workout, and she was leaving. She had come and done a spin class, and I was like, "Hey, come look at this. We're gonna do this tomorrow during our training session." Then, bam!
Yeah.
Wiped out.
Maybe we won't do it in our next training session.
It's very humbling.
Maybe we'll figure it out first.
Yeah.
All right. So what's this first one?
So the first one we're going to talk about, famous last words, is I'm going to lose the weight and then I'll stop working out and I'm just going to maintain. Famous last words. You know how many times this has worked out for somebody?
0.
Yes, exactly. Crickets, none. No, none of the amount of times. That was a great sentence.
I would add, like, not only is it when you have that mindset, you stop and quote unquote just maintain. A lot of times you end up putting the weight back on for one because you lose focus.
Right.
But I would even add, and I would be interested to know, because you've obviously worked with people that have probably had this mentality
100%,
a lot more than I've been exposed to. But would you say it's harder for them to get started once again?
100%. It's so much harder. Because, well, let me tell you, like, so many times a client will come to me and they'll say, okay, I'm going to pay you to train me for 6 months. And like, they come to me with this false expectation. You're going to get me where I want to be. And then I'll stop and I'll just maintain the results, blah, blah, blah. But what happens is they're going to work with me for 6 months or more, and they're getting their body used to a certain stimulus, and they've adapted their metabolism to a certain number of calories that their body can withstand without gaining or from losing. And then they stop working out. So they're losing that stimulus of exercise. They're losing that stimulus of calorie burn, but they're eating the same way. And then so you're automatically going to be eating in a surplus without even, you can eat the same you were, but without that stimulus of exercise, you're already automatically in a surplus.
It's a momentum thing. That's I think where they just completely lose that momentum. And then on top of that, what people don't understand, it's adapting a lifestyle. It's not something you pick up and then put back down, because like you just said, you'll just gain the weight right back.
Well, yeah, because if I change my lifestyle, I'm exercising, I'm eating, I'm doing all these things to lose weight, and then I lose the weight, and then I go back to that mentality of, but now I can eat what I want to again.
Yeah.
Then what I'm doing is I'm putting myself in the position I'm eating in the same manner that put me in that position in the first place.
Right.
And so that's where that backslide comes in my mind.
Yeah,
right.
It happens to fighters too. They'll get in super tip-top shape for a fight. They'll do the fight, the event's over, and now I'm going to go on this cheat meal, and then the cheat meal leads into a cheat week. Well, I don't have anything lined up, so they quit coming to the gym for a bit. And next thing you know, next fight rolls around, and we gotta do a crazy cut just to get you close to where you were before.
Yeah, exactly.
Hit that weigh-in, and then I want that cheeseburger.
Yeah, you got to do it's like we have to do a pre-fight camp to your fight camp just to get you close to in shape again.
Right. Or a lot of people they'll stop working out and then they'll come back to me, and what they'll say is like, hey, that last time, let's do that again. You really got me to where I wanted to be. Let's just do the same thing. And I'm like, if we do that same thing, it didn't work, obviously, because you're back
where
here.
You're at.
And I see that all the time. People like, I did keto 2 years ago and I lost so much weight. It worked so well. So I'm going to go back to it and do it again. If it's something you have to go back to, it did not work.
Right.
That was a huge like paradigm shift and kind of a mic drop, mind blown moment of mine where like, if you have to go back to it, it did not work. Even if it got you success, even if you lost the weight in the first place, if you did not maintain it, if you did not continue that life, it did not work. So tell yourself that and remind yourself that whenever you're trying to go back to the way you used to be or go back to the diet that guides you success. If you're having to go back to it, it did not work.
Well, I would add to that and just be, okay, so if you're going to say the famous last words, I'm going to lose the weight and then I'll stop and just maintain. Okay, well, be honest with yourself. and maintain the same momentum you've been going on. The
Right.
and
True.
stop,
Mm-hmm.
and stop is not an option.
Right. No.
It's just maintain.
Nope. This next one is one that I think we all probably struggle with it a lot of times, and it's basically I just have just one more, or just one blank won't hurt, and so I threw some examples out there like just one more beer won't hurt, just one more bite won't hurt, one more. Here's a good one that you brought up. One more set won't hurt. So if we want to talk about the exercise portion of it, or
I'm actually curious to hear that one because that
we'll
stuck out to me. But
we'll dig into that, and then or like one more hitting my snooze on the alarm one more time and not gonna hurt anything. Those are dangerous last words.
You know what the biggest place that I see the damage coming from as I'm reading through this?
Yeah.
Outside of the set, like I can't speak to that because I don't fully know the context of that. But
we'll
we're talking about that, if I'll just have one more beer or one more bite of this food or I hit that snooze button one more time, the biggest thing I see is the damage coming to your willpower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your ability to just make that conscientious decision to say, no, I'm not going to allow myself to fill in the blank.
Yeah. I think you hit it on the head.
I think
For sure.
I don't know if you'd agree with me, Tyson, here, but I think once you let it go that one time, that second time becomes that much easier to let it go.
100%. It's a momentum thing. And to me, that's how discipline is built. It's constantly making the correct decision over and over and over again, and then you have an iron discipline. But it's week 2. You can crack it, and then if you do the just one more, or I'll just have one cake today.
Right.
One Little Debbie. It's not going to hurt.
Right.
Well, and then now it's like, well, it's Friday. I'm gonna have a Little Debbie. I earned it. I've worked out all week, and now it's every Friday.
Right.
It's just so now you're building momentum in the wrong direction.
Yeah, the more and more you have to compromise with it is just one more punch in the gut every single time, and eventually it will break, and you have to come back to it again.
And I liked your first example with beer. That one. I mean, I grew up in a family that really enjoys alcohol.
Oh, okay.
And I've seen it too many times.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just stick around. We got just one more. Just one more.
Yeah.
6 hours later, still there.
Yeah.
5 more beers in or whatever.
Right. I mean, a lot of times, might be a little dramatic, but it can make a difference of life or death for somebody who chooses
That's
to.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
So most extreme level. What you're asking about the set. The thing I had in mind, mostly when it comes to going to failure or working out.
Okay.
Sometimes whenever you have hit your wall, there's some of this, and maybe this is talking about the other side of the coin of just one more, where you have this ego and you're like, I can add one more plate. I can add one more rep.
Right.
And then you slowly start talking yourself into injury is what really ends up happening.
It happens.
And I've seen this with exhausted fighters with one more round. Let's just get one more round in. It's for the best. Like, no, dude, you're gassed. And now your technique's terrible because you're winging punches now, or you're using too much muscle and not enough technique.
Right.
And now we jacked up your knee.
Yeah, and it's like I would almost venture to guess there in that scenario that the bad practice from having a bad technique and from letting those things slip, like you said, it leads to injury, but I would say it almost helps to, or hurts you in a sense of reversing what the good practice does.
Yeah, sure. And I'm not saying don't push yourself. Push yourself in the gym for sure, and get enough rounds. But follow a program. Find a good coach that knows what he's doing, and he'll know when to push you and when to pull you back.
Yeah, I mean, if you have that mentality in the gym, it almost prohibits you from listening to your body. If your body's telling you, something, don't ignore it.
I almost hear you saying, like, be conscious of what your body is telling you. Like, don't fall into that trap of ignoring it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if you're ignoring the signals that your body tells you, then you're going to end up injured. And in my mind, injury leads to longer time away, which not only prevents progress or hinders progress, but it makes you backslide.
Right. Backslide, you lose your progress for sure. And then also, if you're a training partner to somebody now can't train with you. You're hurting your team.
Yeah.
So
last night,
that's a good point.
Yeah, that's true. Last night we went out and ate at a steakhouse, and Presley begged for a dessert, so Lorna got her brownie with some ice cream, and so I was telling myself this. All right, just one more bite, one more dad tax bite of this.
Dad tax.
And that's a famous last word.
Yeah.
Little did I know, I was miserable. I'd overeaten, didn't sleep as well because I overconsumed, especially sugar, late at night. So, it's that was last night's ordeal.
Famous last word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Number 3 is I'll start after blank.
Yeah.
So famous last words. I'll start after my kids go to school, or I'll start after, like I hear this one a lot, and I'll explain it. Like I'll start training with you, Joe, after I'm going to lose my first 10 pounds on my own, or I'll start with you after I get a couple months
life
under my
settles
belt.
down. You know.
No, you're not. You're not.
You ain't ever gonna do it.
No.
That's the thing. And then
famous last words.
Especially in our gym with jiu-jitsu and kickboxing. I'll start after I lose some weight.
Right.
Like, you don't realize how much this would help you lose weight.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Those last words of I'll start after Christmas, or I'll start, New Year's resolutions is what really comes to my mind.
Yeah.
True. Yes, it makes me think of New Year's resolutions, and like I'll own up to it. Famous last words. How many times have I said that in my past? Right. And it makes me flash back to the beginning of my whole journey of pursuing health and bettering my health. I'll start after fill in the blank. I lose a couple pounds. I curve the way I eat. Like I do all of these things, and the delayed start kept justifying me staying where I was.
Right. Well, and I get it. Life happens. Life.
Sure.
There are things that put barriers in front of you, but I challenge all of our listeners: start today, not tomorrow, start today.
Right.
Figure it out. Put your workout clothes in your bag, and go.
Yeah. Don't be that person that starts after one more meal on Sunday night.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna change your words. It doesn't put up barriers; it puts up walls, and those are the kinds of walls that we can break down, but we have to swing the hammer.
Yeah. I think it's important for us to have the conversation about just balance. Like, I think a lot of times we can come across of being like almost kind of too harsh, and like if you're not living in the gym, you're failing, or you're not gonna hit your goals.
Sure.
And I don't want to ride that too much, because like I was just having a conversation with one of my clients, Jean. Shout out to her. She's an avid listener of us and very good supporter.
Whoop, whoop.
But we were celebrating the win of her mindset. Like she is to a point in her journey where if she misses a workout, she's not beating herself up. She's not like stressing about it. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna hit my goals now. She's like, okay, I hurt myself. I'm going to miss this workout. I'll set this one out, and I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be back strong.
That's healthy.
And that's such a healthy place to be.
Yes.
Like, if you have to miss, especially like, there's so many more important things in life than exercising, and that's our life because we love it so much. It's my career. But man, if you're, this is huge. If you're putting family in front of your workouts, sometimes that's not a healthy place to be. If you're putting time with your kid, time with your, I don't know, aging parents, or there's something, I mean, there's all these fill in the blanks. If you're placing exercise on a higher importance than the things that really mean importance in life, just evaluate that.
I agree with you. Also, to that point is you also make sure to me, working out is time that I'm taking for myself.
Yes.
And not enough people do that.
No,
especially
true.
with my patients. I see
100%.
Their parents are finally at a stage in their life where the kids are really heavily involved in their health, and they are burnt out because they don't have any separation from taking care of their loved ones.
100%. Yeah,
so,
that happens.
I think evaluate that too. Maybe you can use your workouts.
Exactly.
I wake up and go to the gym at 5 a.m, and it's an hour of me time.
Love it. Yeah.
My phone's off. Nobody's awake. Nobody's calling me, asking me about the back. Are you going to order this? Are you going to do that for the gym? Or it's a me time, and that's where I find my balance. So I think it's part of that too.
Yeah, I tell moms all the time, be selfish with your health, because in that scenario, you may be having to spend an hour away from your kids in that scenario, but that's going to make the other 23 hours you're with your kids more valuable, more beneficial to them. It's going to be better quality time with them, and so yeah.
Shout out to Allie too. She brings her kids to the gym.
Right. Yeah. If your gym allows that's a game changer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So next one. This one kind of. This is the dagger to the heart. I can't live without blank.
Ranch
Famous
dressing.
Last words. Exactly.
Ranch dressing.
That was the first one that came to my mind. I can't
Where
live
does that
without
one come
ranch
from?
dressing. So yeah, whenever you feel yourself saying that sentence with something, that is an automatic. Okay, I got to evaluate this relationship I have with this item, which I do. I know. I'm confessing it. I can't live without it. I refuse.
Well, would life be the same without it?
Yeah.
It would?
Yes.
All right.
Progress.
That's
Yeah.
progress.
I don't know that you would have admitted that a few months ago.
I'm surprised he admitted to that.
Yeah. I'll just.
I'm proud of
yeah.
you.
What
Anyways.
gets me, and this is going down a different rabbit hole maybe, but when it comes to alcohol, right? When people,
Right.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
alcohol isn't a very addictive substance, but there are certainly people out there that at the current time they cannot live without it. They'll go through
Right.
crazy withdrawals.
Right.
That being said, I mean, if you're really looking to make change, find a program, go through the small steps, start making small steps towards a better life.
Of course.
One that also comes to my mind though too is my mom is addicted to Coca-Cola.
Oh, right.
Oh, dude, so was my
addicted.
mother. I know all about this.
And I mean, I'm talking 6 Cokes, a packet. Like when people take a pack a day, I'm like a 12 pack a day. She
Oh, my
has to have them.
Like regular Coca-Cola.
Regular Coca-Cola.
Gosh.
They can kill you, man.
That is so much sugar.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Her caloric intake. I'm not sitting here trying to bash my mom.
Yeah.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah.
But it has been something she has, and she'll admit to it. She has battled with
It's
it
true.
forever.
It's true. Yeah, my mom was exact same situation.
Mhm.
Like she was that person that would drink a 12 pack of Coke a day, like, and she was diabetic.
Yeah.
Like it was wild to see her do that,
Yeah,
but
that's sad.
that was her. I can't live without it. And a joke about the ranch thing, but just in anything that we do with this, what comes to my mind is I can't live without blank. And is coming from I don't like the situation I'm in. I want to change, but I can't live without this.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we placing the value of what's put us here?
Right.
Right? Like, I don't like that I'm 320 pounds when I started my weight loss journey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that I'm 320 pounds, but I can't live without, let's say, ice cream.
Right.
Right? What helped to get me where I was? I almost don't let it have enough weight because of the enjoyment that I get from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I let that joy blind me a little bit to the negativity that it's bringing to my situation, where maybe cutting that one thing out drastically changes what I'm going through.
Man,
Right.
the amount of health benefits that people would get if they would just leave their vice alone,
Mm-hmm.
or even just cut their vice in half.
Right.
Whether it's cigarettes, Coca-Cola, beer, whatever it is.
Yeah, most of the time it's something small, like what you said, Coca-Cola or ranch dressing, or I can't live without my venti iced caramel macchiato from Starbucks every single morning.
True.
Like, there's so many of those. It's a vice, is what it is. So evaluate yourself.
Yeah, vape pens.
Oh yeah, gosh.
That's a new one our generation didn't have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever we said when we said I can't live without blank, whatever came to your mind, evaluate your relationship with that, because it may be something keeping you from improving.
And I would even venture just to add to this, because I know we're mentioning like the ranch dressing, Coca-Cola, the cigarettes, and the beer, and like all of these things that affect us in a physical sense. I would venture to say I can't live without blank expands further than that.
Oh, of course.
I think like I can't live without social media.
Mm-hmm.
I can't live without screen time.
Right.
I can't live without fill in the blank that's maybe it's not directly impacting or adding like sugars to my body and like these things, but it's holding me back from doing something else that would keep me more active, that would
Of course.
keep me undistracted and be able to pour into like a business that I'm working to start or to grow, or prevents me from just opening up other opportunities.
Sure. I would agree with you, and then also input that this also goes into relationships with people.
True.
I can't live without this person, and then you put so much weight onto somebody that you give them so much power over you, and and depending on how responsible that person is, that could be a bad or a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not responsible, that can definitely be a negative thing.
Yep.
And even like, I would say even if they are responsible and realize
you're giving a lot of power away.
You're giving a lot of power away, and looking at the other person's perspective, sometimes like that's burdensome.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So it's damaging to the relationship even.
Right, right. There's people on the other end of this too that think I can't live without exercise.
Yeah.
There's people that are so addicted to it that if they don't get a workout in, they're stressing out. They're freaking out. They're automatically thinking that they're gaining weight. They're looking in the mirror, seeing a different version of themselves. So that's another end of it.
A lot of people with addictive personalities, they just change what they're addicted to.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
They latch onto something else.
Right, and sometimes it's working out. I met people who are addicted to reading.
Oh, really?
Literally, they just can't get it. They have to be reading all the time.
Wow.
It's. I did some clinical rotations at the Wichita Falls Mental State Hospital.
Oh yeah.
There are some characters.
Oh,
there.
I bet, dude.
You get your eyes open to some of the demons that people have to fight. It's crazy.
Yeah. Man.
So what about this one? I'm guilty of this. All right, let's get this workout in. I need a good butt kicking today.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Yeah, punishing yourself for the
we've talked about
the
this.
bad weekend.
Yeah, I need to kick my butt. I need to go in the gym and destroy myself just so I can make myself feel better for.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that mentality, and I think like we've already kind of referenced this of I miss a workout, so I start to feel stressed and all these things. And where does that stress and everything lead? It leads us to having at least this belief that, okay, because I missed, I need to put more work in this workout. I need to push harder. I need to get that one more rep in, that one more set in. I need to lift heavier. I need to do stuff to make up the ground that I've lost.
Right.
And that can be a dangerous mentality. And I'm with you, Joe. Like, I'm falling into this. You mentioned Gene's mindset of, if I miss it, it's like, okay, well, I'll just get back at it tomorrow.
Right.
Like I'm not going to let it defeat me. And that is such a good and healthy mindset. And I love that. If I'm realistic with myself, I don't think I'm there.
Yeah.
I think that's something I need to work on.
Really? Yeah.
I do like that we have this accountability though, where it is like, all right, I messed up.
Right.
I need to make it right. And then you do go do extra 10 minutes on the treadmill or whatever. Yeah. But I think there's a healthy balance to that.
Absolutely. Too. There's a line that you can.
There's a smart approach to it. And again, I think that goes back to us watching our body signals too. Like that can be, oh man, I ate that cupcake, so now I'm gonna go run it off on the treadmill, then like, I take off and my calf starts to feel weird.
One side of that is I want to do this because I want to improve, and the other side is I'm doing this out of shame. That's the factor. You don't want to be punishing yourself out of shame, because there's no room for that in a healthy lifestyle.
Self-punishment.
Right. And then let's see. Oh, this is one that's good. All right, so this one came from a friend of ours,
a close friend.
A close friend. We love him, and we asked him an idea, and he said, "This is the all-time famous last word is, it's always been done this way." And that is famous last words of a dying church, a dying business, dying. And really anything, and it's always been done this way. Someone who refuses to change, adapt, and improve. Right.
Yeah. And like workout programs.
Exactly.
Some guy, and I, not to pick on any school district in particular, but coaching, high school coaching. I have seen some of the same programs done year after year after year that all lead to the same injuries, the same overstress, because they follow these same types of terrible form workout programs that some dude made back in the 70s.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's how
you're going to get this lift done regardless of what it takes.
That's how it's always been done, boy.
Yeah.
Get down. I did it when I was your age. You're doing it now.
Exactly.
I've heard it, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is rampant in the high school.
I'm curious to ask on this one. like it almost makes it come to mind for me in regards to exercise and workout. The one dude who has like the single workout, and that's all he does repetitively,
really,
over and over. Like he follows the same 3 or 4 motions.
Buys and tries, baby.
Yeah, and skipping leg day, right? But that also is a mentality that hinders the growth you think you're obtaining because you're ignoring all of those other potentially like muscle groups or movements. Maybe you're ignoring stuff that would add to or fix like mobility issues that you're having.
Right.
That was one thing with the program that Tyson had set up for us that we just kind of wrapped up. Was the, I guess, mandatory work that we had to put in for mobility and like cardio and things. And I've always considered myself to be fairly good with cardio, and because I enjoyed running, and in honesty, that's something I'd gotten away from. And there was a little bit of a realization and or shock that came from going through the program that Tyson had put together. Oh man,
that was a whole different type of cardio.
I've gotten away from kind of where I started with this.
Right.
Man, how much further along would I be from where I'm at if I had never dropped this one piece from what I was doing?
Right. Yeah, I get that.
If that makes sense.
No, I get it. Yeah. You know, you see this in churches all the time. You know, you go look at, and I want to be very careful about this because the church, regardless of where it is the bride of Christ, and I do not want to speak poorly about the bride of Christ, but you see churches that are dying that have nothing but, 70 and 80-year-old people in it and nobody else, have no young people in it, are likely that way because it's always been done this way, and this is how we're going to do it, and we're not going to adapt. We're not going to put projectors in the house. We're not going to plug in any instruments, anything like that. And that's
I guess that's
hard.
There's a fine line between tradition and then adapting to a new generation.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
The problem is life and technology and just people change so rapidly and fast. If you don't keep up, you're going to lose interest.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes.
Yeah, it's kind of goes back to that momentum word you used earlier, right? Things, if we're looking in form of like technology, which is kind of just the easy thing to pick on in the room.
Sure.
That's the low-hanging fruit.
Using that as a baseline or example, like you said, technology is progressing rapidly, and if you're not maintaining the momentum to keep up with it is going to outrun you.
Well, we're fickle. We like new, shiny things. It's the reason why each one of us has an iPhone that has been made up in the last 2 years or so. We all have to have this, the new, shiny thing.
Yes. And like to add to this, I think you could sum it up for this in context of like we're talking with the church with this. When we get lost in tradition, we lose sight of the mission.
Right, exactly.
Ooh,
that's good.
When we
say that again.
When we get lost in our traditions, we lose sight of God's mission.
Yes.
Like and I think there's a key and defining part there. Because if we look at kind of the mission that God has laid out for, like you said, the bride of Christ, the church to be the representative and to fulfill, there are certain, I think, attitudes, actions, characteristics, the list goes on and on, of things that should apply to those attached to that. And when we get lost in keeping things are like how they are, but we've always done it this way.
Right.
It's always been like this. This is how we've always operated. Yeah. The good old boys of this is what it is. I think the mission is a moving target.
Right.
And I think the field is wide.
Yeah.
But to not adapt and just to lock ourselves into it's always been done this way narrows the scope of what we're able to output as far as being productive within operating in that. And
but I would argue that it's also just even the language you use.
Yes.
Because you're like we talked about, the young people that are coming up versus who you're talking to before them, the older generations.
Right.
Like you have to be able to communicate effectively to both of those and appeal to both of those.
Yeah. And like, let's be honest here. Regardless of how much of an old soul we may be, if you're talking to somebody that is 2 to 3 generations older than us, and maybe you make a reference trying to connect something to, like, let's say a movie, right? That may fly way over our heads.
They can get none of that.
And I think the same can be said in reverse too, I would say. Because there are certain languages and ways of using words that we can use to communicate to younger, potentially teens, young adults, kids especially, where that flies over the head of somebody older, and there's a disconnect there.
Right.
So I would say there's a line within that. But no, I think bottom line what we're saying is, when we get lost in things being how they've always been, we lose sight of where we can go.
Yeah, for sure. On the topic of famous last words, I think we would regret not mentioning the most famous last words of all time.
That's it.
And so, I was looking up famous last words of like different, actually famous people.
Yeah, you had some interesting ones.
Yeah, there were some really interesting ones. Like there was one that was a soldier, a U.S. soldier or American soldier in the Revolution in like 1776, and he was being hung by British soldiers, and his last words were, "My only regret in life is that I only have one life to give for my country." And I was like, man,
patriotic.
What a man.
Yeah, an eagle flew by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the Eagles make that noise?
No, they like whistle. They like
that's right. Oh, that was good.
That was impressive, actually.
Do it again.
Eagle's gonna. I can't do it too much. I'll call one. I'll summon them.
Okay.
They'll come flying through the window.
Yes, master.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you make an entrance to a fight. Is you just hold your arm out and make the whistle.
Right.
And the eagle just lands on your arm.
Intimidation.
Yeah, and there was one that, like, Steve Jobs, his last words were, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow." Yeah, just like.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What
in
was
his
he
head?
seeing?
Yeah. But death is such a just reading all of those, like, it brought kind of a, not realization. I don't really know. It was just eerie almost, just reading all of these, like,
final words.
Death is gonna happen. It's like, what's that word? It's only thing sure in life is death and taxes.
That's right.
I
Can't
mean,
run from it.
And to some extent, and I think this is just an interesting kind of thought project, is if we were to die tonight, what words of ours would be our famous last words?
Right.
What? Because, like, to an extent, like you mentioned with the soldier, right, making that statement, that statement embodies to me a legacy left behind.
Absolutely.
By that person. What legacy do we leave behind?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question to me. But the most famous last words coming from Scripture, looking at the story of Jesus, it is finished. And connecting back to what we were talking about, when we get stuck in tradition, we lose sight of the mission. God's mission, his plan, that is as we refer to it, crimson cord that runs from Genesis, when things went south, there was the fall, all the way through the end of Scripture, even into Revelation.
Right.
The single thread that is consistent through all of it is the mission of Christ and what he accomplished on the cross.
Right.
And, Jesus in his earthly ministry, while he was alive, traveled and fulfilled prophecy, fulfilled the Old Testament, did all of these things, and it culminated in his death. And that statement of "it is finished," it is complete,
it's accomplished,
it is done, it is accomplished. The work that I have been sent here by the Father to do for all of mankind, this is it.
Right.
This is the new beginning.
Yeah.
And I think there is just power within that.
Mm-hmm. And it brings me peace because so many times we try to do the work ourselves that was accomplished on the cross. Yeah. We try to put in the work. We try to do all of the right things that we don't have to do because Christ accomplished that already.
We try to do the right things, say the right things to somebody, be the right way in order to reach somebody,
or reach a certain holiness.
And sure, like I'll say, like, of course there's things that we do to, help the process along, but even within us doing things, I argue that it's not us but the Spirit working through us.
Of course.
And right. And I'm with you. There is a peace knowing that God, having done the work ultimately already and laying the path forward in the current season, is the one doing the work. Because if we meditate on what can I do, right. Sometimes we can, like we said, get stuck in a tradition of this is how I have to do things.
Right.
And lose sight of what is actively an opportunity in front of us.
So what would your last words be right now?
Oh, what would my last words be?
It's happening right now. Gun to your head. What are you going to say?
Man.
Don't shoot. Bang.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh, no. Ouch.
Huh.
If I think about it too long, I'll start crying because I'll have to say something to my. Oh, golly.
Yeah, he's already crying over here.
I'll have to say something to Presley. Golly. Oh.
He's crying. Sorry, Joe.
Sorry, Joe.
I can't go there.
Man,
Jesus's first words after he was resurrected, as we talk about peace, is "Peace be with you." That was the first words after being resurrected to his disciples. And I think that that culminates all of that. Kind of brings it all around. Golly, why y'all got me crying?
I was
just thinking about golly.
See, I was going from a funny side, and then you went super deep.
Well, I know that's fatherhood.
The total opposite.
Yeah.
That's fatherhood, guys. Man, just thinking about.
Yeah, and I would say like that's a perspective I don't have on that.
Right, likewise.
But and so I can't. I don't know, but. To me, I almost have a different thing, right? Like you said, gun to your head. If like you had your last words, what would it be?
You better kill me with the first shot.
Yeah,
that's my. Because you're not gonna like it if I survive this.
Or if they I'm gonna put a twist on it for you.
All right.
Okay. Does this, but sets a cell phone in front of you and says you have one phone call.
Yeah, that's tough.
Who do you call? What do you say?
I'm calling my wife, of
Guys,
course.
I'm getting over crying, so stop going here. Okay,
calling my wife, of course.
And the who, man, like, and what do you leave behind for them?
Yeah, I listened to something actually not too long ago that was saying sometime what everybody should do is go home, sit at their kitchen table while everyone is away, wife is away or husband, dog's outside, cat's leaving you alone, by yourself, and sit down and write your obituary. Talk about what have you accomplished in life? Who have you affected and impacted, and what do you want to leave behind? And then you take that piece of paper and you crumple it up and you throw it away and you realize, what do I need to do now moving forward that's going to make that way more impactful?
How can I fill that gap from that obituary to now?
And even like from the other perspective of things left unsaid.
Sure. Yeah. Who do you need to call and apologize to?
Well. I think one of the biggest and most impactful things that were given to me, before I get all emotional like Joe,
bunch of cries in here.
We're babies and Tyson's just a man.
I'm not afraid to show my emotion.
No, but I joke about it. But those who know a little bit about my story, I lost my mom several years ago, and really, that was prior to me ever beginning my health journey.
Right.
So I didn't know you guys at the time.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had never seen me before at that point. But my mom's health throughout my entire upbringing was up and down. And so it was one of those things where death was a certain reality. Like, it's going to happen eventually. But every time it hit one of those serious points, there was a bounce back. And it was almost like okay, like, she'll be fine.
Right.
When she actually did pass, there was a little bit of a shock and a little bit of a, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
you thought she would just bounce back again. Yeah.
And I was encouraged by the person who performed the service for her, for her funeral, to write a letter to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And always having the idea that I had more time, but not taking the time to use those in actual words.
Right.
I didn't realize like what I was putting off emotionally, like holding back.
Sure.
And then to pour that into a letter and write those words to say, like, this is what you mean to me.
Right.
This is what you've taught me.
Right.
This is the legacy that you're leaving behind as me, because you've helped to shape me in this way.
Right.
Yeah.
Those types of things.
That's cool, man.
And I would say that during that whole grieving process, that was the biggest thing that benefited or helped me to work through what I was going through.
Yeah.
In such a way that I know those are the last words.
Right.
And there doesn't need to be any other words added to it.
Sure.
Because I've got out what needs to be said.
Yeah, it's laid out.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Well, thank you for sharing that, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, thank you for stopping by the Progressive Overload podcast. I do want to say just one really fast congratulations to Dustin for winning the weight loss competition, the champion. Put your crown on. We all are also failures. Again. We all are failures except for Dustin. No, congrats, man. You worked hard for it.
Dude, I appreciate it. It's
good. Happy for you.
It was a fun moment. Yeah. It was a fun moment, and kind of like you said, it's not going to be now I'll just stop and maintain.
Nope.
We got to maintain that momentum. But it's an exciting step in my journey for me, because, and I think I've mentioned this to you guys, when I stepped on the scale for that weigh-in. Now, granted, sure, like I had set the circumstances up for me to be as light as possible by what the scale says, but seeing that number, I broke the 230 mark on the scale. Wild. Guys, I haven't weighed that since like early middle school.
Right.
Yeah.
Potentially sooner.
Congrats,
to be
man.
truthful.
That's
and
huge.
so it's a fun moment for me because like it gave me a little bit of motivation, a little bit of that energy, and the realization of like
accomplishment.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's huge.
Joe, you're a failure.
I'm a failure. I only lost 17 pounds. I needed to lose 24.
Oh, you know what made the difference? He only did the swim once.
That's probably.
I swam twice. Thank you very much.
He kept getting tattoos.
Yeah, he kept getting tattoos.
I can't do the swim.
I purposely planned those tattoos so I didn't have to swim.
Put it in the water.
We know.
Just joking. All right, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. Can't wait to see you guys next week. We love you all. We thank you for your support. And deuces.
Peace. Much love.
Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.